Here's a claim that sounds impossible. A sedan under $45,000 that out-accelerates a BMW M3, out-turns a Volkswagen Golf, and can drive over 1,000 miles without stopping. Normally, a claim like that would be marketing nonsense. This time, the numbers actually hold up. This is the BYD Seal 08, a full-size sedan, roughly the length of a BMW 5 Series, with air suspension, ultra-fast charging, and safety tech that's normally a $5,000 option. All of it standard on a car that costs less than half what BMW or Mercedes-Benz charges for the same features. None of that should add up at this price. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how the math works, and why some very nervous engineers in Munich are already calling this platform a threat to their entire business model. The company behind this car is called BYD, and most Americans who've heard of it think of it as, quote, one of those Chinese electric car companies. What most people don't know is that BYD didn't start out building cars at all. The company was founded in 1995, building small, rechargeable batteries for cell phones and electronics. Over the next 3 decades, BYD grew into one of the largest battery manufacturers on the planet. By early 2024, that battery expertise had turned BYD into the world's top-selling electric vehicle maker for a full quarter, outselling Tesla in global EV volume for the first time. With factory floors spanning multiple continents and battery production on a scale most automakers can't come close to matching. When the company decided to build cars, it brought all of that manufacturing muscle with it. That single fact explains almost everything else in this video, because it means BYD builds its own batteries, its own electric motors, its own semiconductors, and its own suspension components, largely in-house. Every other automaker in this story, German, American, or otherwise, buys most of these parts from outside suppliers and pays a markup on each one. BYD skips that markup entirely. That is the actual foundation of everything you're about to see. This car, the Seal 08, measures about 203 inches long, roughly the same length as a BMW 5 Series or a Mercedes-Benz E-Class. In American cities with narrow downtown streets and cramped parking structures, a car this size is usually a headache to maneuver. The Seal 08 gets around that problem with rear-wheel steering. At low speeds, the rear wheels turn in the opposite direction from the front wheels, which effectively shortens the car's wheelbase for tight turns. The result is a turning radius of about 16 feet 3 inches. For comparison, a Volkswagen Golf, a genuinely compact hatchback, has a turning radius of about 17 feet 8 inches. In other words, this 203-inch luxury sedan can turn in a tighter circle than a hatchback more than a foot shorter. At highway speeds, the system flips. The rear wheels turn in the same direction as the front wheels, which makes lane changes and highway merging noticeably more stable. If you've ever ridden in a Rolls-Royce or a Mercedes Maybach, you know what a truly smooth ride feels like. Potholes seem to disappear. Speed bumps feel like gentle waves instead of jolts. That feeling comes from air suspension, a system that replaces traditional metal springs with air chambers that can adjust their stiffness in real time. Air suspension is expensive and complex, which is why, for decades, it's been reserved for the most expensive cars on the road. The Seal 08 comes standard on every trim level, with a system called Daisus A, a closed-chamber, dual-air suspension setup that shares its basic engineering roots with systems used by ultra-luxury brands. Here's the part that makes it genuinely clever. Hidden behind the front bumper is an 8-megapixel camera that acts as a road preview system. As you drive, it scans the road up to 50 feet ahead, across a 120-degree field of view. Before your front tire ever reaches a pothole, the car's computer has already calculated the exact stiffness needed at each wheel and sent those instructions to the suspension in milliseconds. The result? Ride quality that has historically cost over $100,000 is standard equipment in a car that costs less than half that. Step inside, and the price tag gets even harder to believe. The front seats aren't just heated and cooled, they're full massage seats, a feature normally reserved for cars costing well over $100,000. BYD calls the front seating zero-gravity seating, engineered to distribute body weight the way an astronaut's seat does during liftoff, which noticeably cuts down on fatigue over a long highway drive. The doors close with a soft, motor-assisted latch instead of a manual slam, and double-layer acoustic glass on every window cuts highway wind noise dramatically. The kind of detail most drivers only really notice the first time they get back into a cheaper car and hear exactly what they'd been missing. None of it required checking a single option box. It's simply what you get the moment you sit down. Range anxiety is the single biggest reason American drivers hesitate to buy an electric vehicle. It's rarely about the daily commute. The average American driver covers around 37 miles a day, and almost any electric vehicle handles that easily. It's about the unexpected. A last-minute road trip, a broken charging station, a 40-minute wait at a crowded charger somewhere off the interstate. BYD's answer is to offer the Seal 08 in two versions, a pure electric version and a plug-in hybrid version. The hybrid is where this gets interesting. It carries a 45.36 kilowatt-hour battery, big enough to drive up to 249 miles on electricity alone, before the gasoline engine ever needs to turn on. For most American drivers, that's close to 2 weeks of commuting without burning a drop of fuel. But when you do need to go the distance, say, driving from Los Angeles to Denver, a trip of a little over 1,000 miles, a full tank of gas combined with a full battery gives this car a total range of just over 1,030 miles. You could make that entire drive without stopping once for fuel or a charge. And if you do run the battery all the way down and drive purely on gasoline, the hybrid system is efficient enough to average around 65 miles per gallon, better fuel economy than many compact cars less than half this vehicle's size. And we still haven't gotten to the part that made engineers in Munich uncomfortable. If you find videos like this interesting, hit subscribe. More of this is coming. For drivers who want the pure electric version, BYD did something almost nobody else has matched. Most electric vehicles on American roads today run on a 400-volt electrical system, the industry standard for years. Think of it like trying to fill a swimming pool through a garden hose. You can increase the pressure a little, but the hose itself is the bottleneck. The pure electric Seal 08 runs on a true 800-volt system, the same general approach Porsche uses in the Taycan and Hyundai uses in the Ioniq 5. But BYD engineered the entire battery pack, cooling system, and charging controller specifically to handle extremely high charging currents without overheating. In practice, that means this. You pull into a highway rest stop with your battery at 10%. You plug into a fast charger, walk in, grab a coffee, and walk back out. In exactly 5 minutes, you've added about 249 miles of range. Wait 9 minutes total, and your battery goes from 10% to 97%. Less time than many drivers spend standing at a regular gas pump filling up a full-size pickup truck. Compare that to a base Volkswagen ID.7 or BMW i4 on the standard 400-volt system. Nearly 30 minutes just to reach 80%, with charging speed slowing considerably after the halfway point. Cold weather is normally where electric vehicles fall apart. Some EVs that charge in 30 minutes at room temperature can take over an hour at negative 22 degrees Fahrenheit. BYD's liquid cooling and thermal management system keeps the battery at its ideal operating temperature regardless of outside conditions. Even at negative 22 Fahrenheit, charging only takes about 3 minutes longer than it does on a warm day. And for the days you're not road tripping, the math is just as simple. Plug the pure electric version into a standard level 2 home charger overnight, and it's back to a full charge by morning. No rest stop, no waiting, no thinking about it at all. The 800-volt fast charging is there for the road trips. For daily driving, most owners will barely touch it. In America, there's an unspoken rule that speed costs extra. Want a car that hits 60 miles per hour in the low 3-second range? You're usually looking at an $80,000 sports car. The top-tier, all-wheel drive version of the Seal 08 produces a combined 684 horsepower and over 590 pound-feet of torque, launching from a stop to 60 miles per hour in roughly 3.1 seconds. For context, BMW's own M3 competition, a car built purely for straight-line performance, needs 3.8 seconds to hit 60 in rear-wheel drive form. Run it through a quarter mile, and the Seal 08 is trading times with cars that exist purely to go fast, while this one is also carrying massaging seats, 5 passengers, and a trunk full of groceries. This 5-passenger family sedan with massaging seats and acoustic glass is faster than a purpose-built performance car. The driver assist system, which BYD calls God's Eye B, isn't a basic camera-only setup either. It includes 1 high-resolution LiDAR unit, 12 ultrasonic sensors, 5 high-definition cameras, and 3 millimeter wave radar units, giving the car full awareness of its surroundings in rain, fog, and other conditions where camera-only systems typically struggle. On the safety side, the body structure uses high-strength steel and aluminum alloy for over 86% of the frame, with the most critical impact zones built from steel rated at 2,000 megapascals. For reference, that's roughly the strength class used in some submarine hulls. The battery has been crushed, dropped, submerged, burned, and deliberately short-circuited in testing, with no fires and no thermal runaway reported. 11 airbags come standard at a price point where many competitors still charge extra for advanced safety packages. Here's the part that's only fair to mention. BYD still doesn't carry the brand prestige of BMW or Mercedes-Benz, at least not yet. Decades of racing heritage, luxury branding, and dealership trust don't disappear overnight just because the spec sheet is better. Dealer networks and long-term service support are also still growing compared to the century-old infrastructure legacy automakers have built up. Those are real considerations for anyone cross-shopping a 10-year car purchase. There's also the matter of independent safety testing. The platform has scored well in Chinese and European crash evaluations so far, but it hasn't yet gone through the US equivalents, the IIHS or NHTSA, which is another box that still needs checking before this becomes a familiar, trusted name for American car shoppers. But notice what kind of problems these are. They're problems of brand presence, infrastructure, and paperwork, not problems of engineering. Those get solved with time and capital, and BYD has plenty of both. So was it actually impossible? No. It just required something almost no other automaker on Earth is set up to do. Build your own batteries, your own motors, your own chips, and skip the supplier markup every other automaker is stuck paying. Once you remove that markup, air suspension, rear-wheel steering, and top-tier driver assistance stop being $5,000 options and just become the standard starting point. Brand loyalty can slow that down for a while. It can't make the engineering disappear. And that's the real warning here. Not for buyers, but for every automaker still charging extra for what just became standard.